welcome to my Stampin' Piece studio. I'm Mary Knabe, and I'm coming to you live from Westerville, Ohio on Thursday, May 29th. It's a beautiful day here, the first day in quite a while that it actually feels like we're headed towards warm temperatures. So I got outside and got my walk in. I'm getting stronger every week, and I thank those of you who are still asking and showing concern. I'm doing very well, and I do appreciate your good thoughts. I hope you, if you haven't already, take some time today to do something just for yourself, whether it's taking a walk, reading, meditating, baking cookies, whatever brings you joy, whatever brings you peace, okay? In the last 3 Facebook Lives I did, I focused on the Extraordinary Flora stamp set and die and the beautiful coordinating washi tape. All of those videos are now on my YouTube channel, Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe. Plus, you can go to stampinpiece.com to watch the videos, plus get all of the cutting dimensions, supplies used, etc. So if you haven't seen those or missed one or more of those, be sure and check it out. Stampinpiece.com is my blog, and Stampin' Piece with Mary Knabe is my YouTube channel. Okay, today I am focusing on the Florals in Bloom suite, and I'm going to teach you the floating strips technique. Some of you may be familiar with it, and I have a feeling it's going to be new to many of you as well. So I'm going to flip my camera around now so we can get started. While I'm doing that, please share this video and invite others to watch. Okay, and just so that you are aware, I wanted to show you where the Florals in Bloom suite can be found, and it is in the new annual catalog that started at the beginning of the month. On pages 40, 41, lots and lots of beautiful samples using the suite. And then pages 42 and 43 show you all of the products included in that suite. If you want to purchase all of the suite, or all of the products in the suite, I should say, use the suite collection ID number or item number and one price. It's not giving you a discount or anything like that. It just makes it easier for you to order if you're somebody that wants the entire suite. As you can see, it has 2 bundles. I'll be using some of each, and this gorgeous paper and the flat pearls. While I'm talking about this suite, I do want to mention next month, starting on June 3rd, Stampin' Up! Is having a special promotion on suites and products included in the suite collections. It is a buy one, get one 50% off. So that includes all of the suites in the annual catalog, as well as suites in the online store, online exclusive store. Okay. And basically you pick out 2 things. It can be 2 suites. It can be a suite and a DSP, or a stamp set from one suite and embellishments from another. Any 2 suites and or products included in any of the suites. You pay for the most expensive one. The lesser price or equal or lesser item is 50% off then. So there's a potential to have lots of savings, okay? I like to save you money everywhere I can. Why? Because I like to save money, right? Do unto others. So that is coming up. That promotion starts June 3rd, okay? So I first, because you know, designer series paper is my favorite product, Stampin' Up! Product to work with. So I wanted to show you the Florals in Bloom paper today, okay? Beautiful, beautiful floral prints, a wide range of colors. Don't you love that? Oh, like so many of these are just, all of them are gorgeous in their own way. And on the reverse side, they have prints and patterns, but a little bit more subtle, but also with the same range of colors. And this is the piece that I'm using today, okay? And that's Florals in Bloom. So I'm going to start by, whoops. I've got a piece of window sheet that measures, I want to put this on something so you can see it better. A piece of window sheet that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, kind of my standard A2 size card layer, right? And then I've got a piece of 4 inch by 5 inch designer series paper. Now this is probably just a little bit, but when you do the floating strips technique, give yourself a little extra. So I'm saying 4 inches by 5 inches. You could even, to be on the safe side, I already did my sample, so I know this is plenty. But if you're not sure, do 4 inches by 5 1/4 to match the size of your window sheet piece. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply start cutting. And when I do this technique, I typically cut 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, sometimes 1 inch, but not really often. So 1 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and then I'll even do 3/8 and 5/8 at times, okay? So first of all, I'm gonna start by doing one that is a quarter of an inch. And you want to set them aside, lay them out in the same way that you're cutting them, okay? Then I'll do 3/4 of an inch. And I think I'll do, let's say 1/2 inch. And then I'm gonna do 5/8, just change it up a little bit. But again, you can do whatever you want. You can make them all 1/2 inch strips if you want. They can all be the same, or you can vary them. I kind of like to vary them because it gives a little bit different interest to it. Now I'm going to do a 3/8 inch. And then how about if I go to 3/4? There's no rhyme or reason. Those are just the measurements I like to use when I do this. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch. And I'll do a 1/4 inch. And then I probably don't need this whole piece, so I'm actually not even going to cut it yet. Or maybe I'll cut, it's 3/4. I'll do 3/4 of an inch. It's oops, that wasn't real straight. It's kind of helpful if on your last strip, it's just a wee bit wider. You can always cut it down if you need to in the end, but if it's too tiny at the very end, it just doesn't turn out quite as good, I don't think, okay? So I'm gonna take these and turn them in one movement, and I'm going to start adhering each of these to the top of my window sheet. And I'm going to do this using multi-purpose glue. Multi-purpose glue is your friend for this project, mainly because you're dealing with so many different widths. And this first strip, I want all the way at the top of the window sheet. I can even put my fingers up there and run it along, make sure that they're even, and they are. And remember, I cut my designer series paper 4 inches wide, so it's already the same width as my window sheet. Thank you all who have joined me. It's so nice to see you. It's such a pretty day, and I have so much work to do down here in my studio. So when I've got people joining me, it makes it easier to ignore the beautiful day outside and do what I need to do in here. And you can slide those around a little bit if you need to, just to focus on some spacing between the strips. I like to have the spacing pretty even. I don't measure it, I just eyeball it. Don't stress yourself out by trying to measure those teeny tiny little spaces between. A quick thank you to all of the people who have been praying for little Gracie. This seems, no, it is 3/4. For some reason, it seemed a little bit bigger to me. But anyways, Gracie is not out of the woods, but she is finally back home with her family. They've got a long road ahead of them, and Mom is learning to do all the different medications, treatments, etc. And but I know for both the parents, Gracie, and her siblings, that they are all happy to have them home from the hospital. So thank you, and please continue to pray. There's still much that needs to happen for her to get 100% well. And for my friend that had the RSV, she continues to do well. She's been at home, but tires very easily. The doctor has her staying home, not being around crowds, that sort of thing. So she's got several more weeks of full recovery. Now see, here is where I said, leave this last piece a little bit bigger, okay? Rather than too small. So what I'm going to do is, and before I do it, I want to make sure I have all these in place. I'm just going to drop an additional silicone craft sheet on top, and I'm just going to press down with a flat hand. I don't want to slide it because I don't want to risk those strips moving around. Okay, so this is what it looks like finished, okay? And the floating part of the strips comes when I put the card together a little bit later, and I'll show you what, I'll show you what the floating card is. Okay, now for this, I do have to use my large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And what I'm going to do is just cut out a circle here. And you can really die cut any shape from here. I would not suggest a punch. I would suggest a die cut, okay? Since it's going through the paper as well as the clear window sheet. This is a good choice. The Stylish Shapes dies in the circles or the squares. I'm going to be using one of the circles from the, what's it called? Spotlight on Nature bundle, okay? It doesn't have to be a square or circle. It can really be any shape you want. In fact, I was looking through what I have, and I saw this one that goes with the Grow with Love bundle. That would work too. It can be something decorative. It doesn't have to be a circle, square, oval, rectangle. It can be a shape that has some sort of decoration. It's just that you want the opening to be full. You don't want it to be a partial opening. So does that make sense? So for today, I'm going to use this one. That's the one I used earlier. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change it up just because I can. I'm going to use that rectangular one. Okay? I'm going to use that rectangular one. At the end, I'll show you the samples I made using the circle from the, what did I say it was called? Grow with Love bundle. So just kind of position it wherever you think. On this die, it's the outside, or I'm sorry, the inside of the shape that's cutting. So that might make a difference to you. If it was the outside edge, I might think a little bit differently because it's so close to these other lines, but because it's the inside edge that's cutting, I'm going to go with this. Actually, maybe I'll bring it down a little bit. Yes, I will. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And don't make fun of me for talking to myself. I know I'm not the only one who does that when they're crafting. Maybe I do it more than you, but... Okay, be honest. Who talks to themselves while they're crafting? Oops. That's not good. And I'm going to go back the other direction just to make sure I've got good cuts all the way through both layers. This is a technique I demonstrated many years ago, and you're going to laugh at this because I went to Pinterest, just getting ideas, kind of refreshing my memory on the technique, and I saw one and I thought, ooh, I really like that. It was an old retired bundle and DSP that was used, but it really caught my eye. So I clicked on it. Lo and behold, it was mine. Is that crazy or what? It was the one I demonstrated many years ago, so that was kind of funny. Okay, so now let's make some cards. I'm going to make 2 cards. Oops, I don't know. I guess I hit the camera and everything went wonky. And it's probably just going to stay wonky. Sorry. I'm making 2 cards. I'm going to use both the negative and the positive space. Alrighty. So this might kind of change things, my layouts, slightly. But what I'm going to do is, oh, I forgot to cut off the edge. Remember I said leave the last one a little bit longer and we would cut it off? I'm ready to do that. So I just cut it off so it would be the same height as the window sheet, 5 1/4 inches. Now here comes the floating part of the technique. We're going to put dimensionals on the back side. I am going to use more than I typically do for something this size, just because I want to make sure the idea of that floating, the floating strips, is obvious. Because if they're hanging out, leaning against the DSP, they aren't really going to be floating, are they? So that's the reason I'm using more dimensionals than usual on this piece. You know, I'm kind of conservative when it comes to my adhesive. I don't want to overuse. And my belief is, and I've had people ask me after watching my demonstrations, do your cards really stay together with so little adhesive? And yes, they do. And my theory on that is, if you have good adhesive, you shouldn't have to worry about pieces coming off your card, okay? Tony, you are absolutely right. I need good advice, and that is why I talk to myself. And you all need expert advice too, so go ahead and talk to yourself. Okay. And then I'm just going to center this on my card base. My card base is Timid Tiger. That's a new in color, and it is one of the many colors used in the Florals in Bloom Designer Series paper. So there's one. I'm going to go ahead and put the base of my second card together before, whoops, make sure I don't have anything else in there, before I finish off the cards. So for this one, the card base is Granny Apple Green, another coordinating color. I've got a piece of Timid Tiger that measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm adhering it to a piece of white cardstock that measures 3 7/8 inch by 5 1/8. And I'll add those layers to my Granny Apple Green card front. And then, whoops, I'm going to add this. And we were just talking about adhesive sticking. And this will happen because you don't necessarily have adhesive on the entire back of your strips when you adhere them. So if you find that, like, I'm going to use my silicone craft sheet so I don't get glue everywhere. If you find, oops, yeah, that's right. If you find that one comes off like that, you just slide it back on with a little adhesive and all is good. I want to make sure I'm going to do this. Make sure to squeeze off any additional adhesive because that was a really, really thin piece. Okay, so let me add, I'll flip this over again and add my dimensionals. Now you can do this technique with Designer Series paper. You can use strips of any of those sizes, smaller than 1 inch. I like to be smaller than or between 1/4 inch and 3/4 of an inch. You can make them all the same width if you like. Another variation of this would be to use your scraps of cardstock. Again, it could be different widths of the strips for different. I'm going to set this here just for a moment and not adhere it until after I put my sentiment on, just because I want to be sure of the correct spacing since I've changed up the shape from my samples. But this is all good because now you'll see 2 pairs of cards made with the same products except for a different die shape. So this strip of white is 3/4 of an inch by, no, it's not. It's 3 3/4 of an inch by 1. 3 3/4 of an inch by 1. Of course, the size of your of the piece for your sentiment depends on the sentiment you use. Maybe you don't want to use the same one that I'm using. So now with that just laying in place, not adhered, I'm centering my floating strips from the top of the Timid Tiger cardstock to the top of my sentiment. Okay. And of course, I've centered the strips, floating strips, left to right. So now you get the idea of why it's called the floating strips technique, because at first glance, nobody notices that window sheet. They're only noticing that those strips are all elevated, right? Now let's finish this off with a bow. And I'm using Timid Tiger. Now this is the new, what do they call it? Faux linen ribbon. And it comes in the 5 new in colors. And it is thin. It has some, I don't want to say it's stiff, but it's not slippery. Does that make sense? It's not like a satin or something so thin like a gauze, but it's just got this nice woven texture. It even has a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit of a shine. And what I really love about it is you can make a decent size bow, pull it tight, and that knot is not overpowering. That knot is not huge. Julie, I think that's a great idea. If you don't have window sheets that come in the 12 by 12 size package, use the window sheets that your photopolymer stamp sets come on. Does everybody know what I mean by that? When you get a photopolymer stamp set, it comes on a heavy sheet. They're flat on a heavier sheet. And then there's, I don't want to say saran wrap, but a thinner cellophane that you pull off. But this piece is actually heavier. And yes, this would work just fine to use. So if you don't have window sheets, the package of window sheets, the 12 by 12 sheets, don't worry. Don't say, oh, Mary and friends, I can't do this. I don't have any window sheets. You probably do if you look at some of your photopolymer stamp sets. That's a perfect idea, Julie. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's a good cost-saving measure, too. And it's a good way to reuse something, right? Instead of just throwing it away. So thank you for that. And this is why I love doing lives, to get the interaction, discussions back and forth, that sort of thing. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm debating if I want to add some flat pearls to that or not. Now, well, I'll wait to show you that sample. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the other card. I need to move some things out of the way. We're going to do a little bit more stamping. And I'm going to start with Darling Duckling. This is a new in color also, and it is a coordinating color in the Florals in Bloom suite, or DSP. So I want to start by, I'm going to do some two-step stamping to make some pretty flowers. So if you look at this stamp set, Pretty Florals, it is all about two-step stamping. Okay, and then we get some leaves and stems. And there are more leaves and stems and such in the die set as well. Now, I tried this both ways. The detailed stamp first, and then the solid stamp second. And I tried the solid stamp first and the detailed second. Personally, for me, it worked better stamping the detail first. And I don't know what I just did with my, I don't know what I did with my, gosh, things just disappear on me. Oh, here it is. My scrap paper. Because for this, I want to stamp off and then stamp on to the flowers. And what I do, because these details don't go all the way to the outsides of the flowers necessarily, so I match up this little upside down V with that tiny one, and this one on the bottom right flower. And when I do that, it all just seemed to fall right into place. You see that? So what I did, I'm going to point it out here. I matched up this V and this one and this one. And if you match those 3 places, the solid image will land exactly where it needs to be. Julie, yay, you're going to try it. I love it. Okay, now we need to die cut these. And for this, I can use my small machine. You can see in this die set, there are not only all the dies that cut out the images for us, there are added bonus dies. So you could create flowers just from designer series paper or cardstock. You can mix and match stamping and cardstock. It's got some dies that are accent dies. They don't match a stamp set, a stamp image in the set, okay? So I love that Stampin' Up! Gives us those accent dies or bonus dies, you might call them. It just increases the level of creativity. It increases the possibilities of creating with the products. Okay, now I previously stamped and then die cut the leaf image. Just a little time saver, okay? And I am, oh goodness. Is this one I really need my assistant standing next to me? I hand things over and the assistant hands things back. Wouldn't that be, that's like the dream, isn't it? And I don't need that just because I have a business. I need that because I just love to craft. So I think you need it too. Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh, think of all the things we could have a crafting assistant do for us. Who knows? Maybe someday Riley will be my crafting assistant. She took her mommy away from me once she became mobile, but that's okay. It means she's happy and healthy and learning and growing. And you saw I just added dots of glue, put my blossoms on. Okay, I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back here. And before I adhere this to my card front, I'll do that. I'm going to get my sentiment ready. And I'm just going to kind of position this right here for now. I'm not going to adhere it yet, again, because I want to pay attention to where I'm going to be adding my sentiment. And this sentiment is super easy. You know, sometimes it's good to send somebody a card just because we're thinking of them. They're on our mind. There might not be any special occasion or reason why, except that you care about that person or your friends or whatever. So stamping hello or sending hello cards is a perfect way to accomplish that, letting somebody know that they're thought of and cared about. because you know, as card makers, we do make a difference when we create and send, most importantly, send the cards we make a difference in this crazy world. And everybody could use some more kindness and positivity in their life. So keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on sending, mailing those cards, and touching others with what you do. Making a difference. Now, as you can imagine, if I had a different shape, I might position my sentiment and my florals a little differently. So that's why I didn't want to adhere my florals until I was sure I knew where I was going to put my hello sentiment. And I like that the leaves are just popping out, and the petal here, the flower petals on this side are just popping out a little bit. Now I think we should add some of these flat pearls to the centers of the flowers. And I'm going to use the Timid Tiger on the Darling Duckling flowers that I stamped, and I'm using one of each size. Any of the sizes work pretty well with these. And the smallest flower will get the smallest Timid Tiger flat pearl. And these truly are flat. Can you see this? Let me see if I can hold it up. This is hard because there's always a delay. But can you see that they're really flat? Which is great, because then nobody has to worry how it will go through the mail, right? You know what? Who said that? Lori. I completely agree with you. You send the cards out, so we get joy in making the cards, creating, right? We send our cards out, and the people receiving get joy. And then when you get the feedback back, yes, doesn't it make you so special? It's like this, come full circle moment of you spreading joy and having joy come back to you. Lori, thank you. That makes my heart sing. Awesome. What do you think on this card? Do we need a couple embellishments, or is it fine as is? What are your thoughts? And while you're thinking about that and responding to that, I'm going to go ahead and show you my sample cards that I made with one of the circle dies from the Spotlight in Nature bundle. So let me put these up here. So there, my hello card. And here I used a different die. Yes, joy multiplied. It makes me happy. Okay, Julie Bohannon says add pearls. Gotcha, girl, I will. Tell me what color. I'm thinking the yellow. I'm thinking the Darling Duckling. Tell me what you think, Julie. And then here is the other one. So we use both the positive and negative space of our floating strips technique on the window sheets. Keep in mind, you don't have to do it this way. You could just use, a circle and cut it, put your strips on, not worry about the sizing, just cut it out, and that could be your card. You don't necessarily have to make them 2 at a time, but I wanted to show you an example that yes, you can. Okay? So basically it's the very same card, same layout. The only thing I changed was the shape of the die cut I used. Julie says, yes, Darling Duckling. Okay, I'm so glad we agree. And if we don't agree, that's okay too. Because we each have our own way, right? Let's see, I think I'll do this. I'm going to use one of each size. I'm going to go here. Well, I want to go a little closer. I don't know. It doesn't matter, does it? I'm thinking it too hard. Stop, Mary. Don't overthink it, right? And then maybe I want it there. I don't know. I think here. because then these kind of get their spotlight and the bow kind of gets a spotlight too. Okay. All right, my friends, what do you think? Who's going to run to their craft room and try out the floating strips technique? Anybody? You know, now I feel like I have to add some flat pearls to this card as well. And I'm again going to use Darling Duckling, one size of each. I think I'll go right here. And right there. Yes. Sometimes I'm not sure about doing embellishments and a bow. Is it overpowering? Other times it seems to really work like it did on these cards. Okay, if you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive one of the 2 cards I made in this live, please comment, type in the comments now. Yay, Julie, can't wait to try it. Awesome. Julie, 2 in a row. Lori's going to try it. Awesome. This makes me happy. If you would like to have your name put into the drawing to receive one of the 2 cards I made in this Facebook Live, please type in the comments now, floating strips. Floating strips. That is the name of the technique we used, floating strips. Okay, any questions? Yes, Amy, go back to the beginning and re-watch. I think you'll enjoy this technique, and it's much easier than maybe it looks at first when you're looking at the finished cards. Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody. All my family is busy. So, well, my sister's family might be around. She and her husband might be. But my immediate family, I think everybody is pretty much busy. So I'm going to be doing some work, hoping to print some pictures and do a little bit of scrapbooking also. All right, have a great evening, have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Happy stamping.